Welcome to this explainer. In this module, we're diving straight into the operational delivery side of PSURs. Now, we are leaving the clinical content behind today, so no signal detection, no benefit risk analysis. Instead, I want you to completely shift your perspective for a moment. Don't think of a PCR as just some massive Word document you have to write. Imagine it as a high-stakes precision assembly line moving a highly sensitive physical product. Every piece of data is a component. Every review is a quality check. And if a single gear on this assembly line slips, the entire factory comes to a grinding halt. We're going to look exactly at how to build and ship this product flawlessly.
Here's the roadmap for our factory tour today. We'll cover the quality baseline, the internal pipeline, the VIP of the whole operation, the QPPV, the DLP countdown, EMA versus FDA submission frequencies, and finally, gateway logistics.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the quality baseline.
Look, on a normal assembly line, a flawed product just gets tossed into the recycling bin, right? Well, on the PSUR assembly line, a flawed document triggers immediate, severe regulatory consequences. There are no free do-overs here. So your factory floor has to uphold 6 absolute baseline standards. Let's fire through them. Number 1, accuracy. Every single adverse event count has to flawlessly match your source database. 2, completeness. No blank sections. If you don't have new data, you literally have to state that explicitly. 3, consistency. The numbers in Section 6 absolutely must match the math in Section 7. 4, timeliness. And let's just pause here for a second, because missing your deadline, that can trigger warning letters or hundreds of thousands of euros in financial penalties. It's a huge deal. 5 is regulatory alignment, meaning you're strictly using current ICH and GVP formats. And finally, traceability. Every single conclusion must be fully backed by referenced evidence.
Moving on to Section 2, the internal pipeline.
So here is your chronological assembly line. We kick things off at Step 1 with data compilation. That's gathering database exports, trial reports, literature, the whole shebang. Step 2 is section authorship. This is where your subject matter experts, from epidemiology to regulatory affairs, build out their specific components. Then we hit Step 3, where a senior physician steps in for the medical review to ensure clinical accuracy. Now pay super close attention to Step 4, the QPV review. They are the ultimate approver, and honestly, they're so important we're dedicating the entire next section to them. Next up, Step 5 is an independent quality control check to make sure everything cross-references perfectly. And the final stop, Step 6, submission and archiving into the company's safety database.
Which brings us to Section 3, the VIP QPPV. So, who is the QPPV? The Qualified Person for Pharmacovigilance. This is absolutely not just some fancy corporate title. It is a strict legal mandate under EU Directive 2001/83/EC. Basically, the QPPV is the single point of accountability for a marketing authorization holder. They oversee this entire preparation process, from the initial data collection all the way to the final submission. And here is a critical operational requirement. They must be permanently and continuously accessible to regulatory authorities to answer any questions. So the crucial point is this. The human element in your pipeline carries massive legal weight. If a company fails to retain a qualified QPPV, or even just forgets to appoint a deputy when the main person is absent, it can actually result in the immediate suspension of their marketing authorization. No QPPV, your factory doesn't just slow down, authorities will literally shut it down.
All right, Section 4, the DLP countdown.
This timeline perfectly illustrates how a PSUR actually comes to life. It all kicks off at year 0 with the IBD, the international birth date. Fast forward to Step 2, the interval end. This is where your reporting period officially closes. Right around this time, usually at the interval end or maybe up to 2 weeks after, we hit Step 3, the data lock point, or DLP. This is a crucial operational step where you completely freeze the safety database. No retroactive changes allowed. Freezing the data buys your team exactly 60 to 90 days. That's Step 4, to actually write, prep, and quality check the report before you finally hit Step 5, submission.
But we all know how the real world works, right? Things rarely go perfectly. So what happens if crucial late-breaking safety data arrives after the data lock point has frozen the database, but before you've actually submitted the report?
Well, it's really interesting how strict the inclusion rules are here. If late data comes in, it does absolutely not reset your data lock point. It doesn't alter your reporting interval at all. The timeline stays completely locked. Instead, that new piece of information is routed specifically into Section 11 of the PSUR. You have to include a solid rationale for why it's being added post-DLP, and crucially, it requires direct explicit approval from our VIP, the QPPV, before it can ever enter the document. Moving right along to Section 5, EMA versus FDA frequencies. And this brilliantly illustrates how distinct their shipping rhythms really are. Over in Europe, the EMA references the EURD list and that international birth date we talked about. For a new active substance, you're practically shipping reports every 6 months for the first 2 years. Then, for years 3 through 5, it transitions to an annual frequency. After year 5, it drops to a routine 3-yearly schedule. Now contrast that with the US. The FDA uses the anniversary of the first US approval as their anchor. For their PATRs, or whatever accepted alternative format you're using, they demand semi-annual reports for the first 3 years and then shift to annual reports submitted within 60 days of the US approval anniversary. So you've got 2 different regions and 2 completely different factory schedules to manage. But hey, what about non-routine custom orders? Both regions have unique scenarios that will totally disrupt your standard factory timeline. For the EMA, events like an urgent safety restriction, a formal Article 20 safety referral, or a 5-year marketing authorization renewal are going to trigger special submission requirements. On the flip side, for the FDA, if your product has accelerated approval, a REMS program, or post-marketing requirements stemming from previous PSUR findings, you are looking at enhanced monitoring and potentially much higher frequency submissions. You absolutely have to build flexibility into your operational pipeline to handle these kinds of sudden disruptions. Finally, Section 6, Gateway Logistics. Nowadays, everything has to be submitted electronically in highly structured eCTD formats to allow for rapid regulatory review. But here's the catch. The portals and the structures differ wildly. For the EMA, the PSUR actually goes into Module 1, the Regional Administrative Information section. You have to use their electronic submission gateway, ensure your SPOR organizational data is perfectly populated, and interface with pharmacovigilance. For the FDA, it's a completely different architectural map. Comprehensive annual reports for NDAs and BLAs are submitted deep into the Module 5 structure. You transmit via the FDASG, while your individual case safety reports separately populate the FARS database, and the FDA trucks the whole thing using their DART system. It is the exact same product, but it enters through 2 very different electronic loading docks.
So, we've traced the entire operational journey of the PSUR. Think about it. If the QPV's signature is the key and the specific eCTD gateway is the lock, is your internal factory pipeline robust enough to hit all 6 quality standards, freeze the data lock point exactly on time, and never ever miss a strict regulatory deadline? Take a really hard look at your own compliance pipeline. Find those hidden bottlenecks and tighten those gears. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.